Good afternoon. Welcome to today's session on Cambridge English Qualifications. How are you today? We're still waiting for, we're going to wait for a couple of minutes for more people to join us. So while we do that, can you use the chat to tell me your name and where you're from? Yasmin from São Paulo, nice. Hello, Danilo. Good afternoon from Bolivia. Oh my goodness. My name is David. Hello, David. Welcome. That's so nice. You're from Bolivia. That's cool. All right. Hello, Danilo, Laura. Someone from Paraguay. Oh my goodness, that is so cool. Hi, Katia. Right. Cleide from Rio Grande do Sul. Camila from São Paulo. Welcome, guys. Welcome. We're going to have a big group today. It's exciting. All right. Juliana from São Paulo. Nice to meet you, Juliana. Sorry, guys. I am looking at the screen here on the side. All right. Jorge from Fortaleza. Hello, Jorge. Welcome. All right, guys. Just one more minute so we can start, okay? Tell me about the weather where you are. Here, it's a bit sunny, it's a bit warm. How's the weather in the cities where you are now? Susie from Tremembé. Hello, Susie. Kelly. Hello, Kelly. Hot and very wet. Okay, right. Kelly from Colégio Delta. Very nice. Laura says here it's cloudy and a bit windy. All right. Okay. So, all right, guys. That's so nice. People from different parts of the country and also different countries. That's very interesting. Hello. Cássia from Marília. Teresa from Brasilia. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for your comments. Good to see you here. Welcome. So for those who don't know me, my name is Tatsumi, and I'm an academic consultant for Cambridge University Press and Assessment. And the topic of our conversation today is Cambridge English Qualifications. So are you ready? So before I start talking, and it's going to be a bit of a monologue actually, I want to know, oh, by the way, this is being recorded at the moment, and it will be available for you at the Disal YouTube channel, and then after that for Cambridge University Press as well. So also, if you have any questions during the presentation, I am going to ask you to put your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A section, and I will address your questions later, okay? But for now, and at this moment, I do want to hear from you because I have a few questions because I want to know you a bit better. So let's start with that. Tell us about yourself. I'm going to give you 3 questions, and I'd like you please to use the chat to answer those questions, and so I can get to know you a bit better, get to know you a little bit better, get to know about your experience and how familiar you are with the exams. So the first question is, how familiar are you with the Cambridge English Qualifications? Question 2, do you find them important and why? And the last question is, do you prepare your learners for the exam? So please use the chat box to answer those questions. Let's take a look at your answers now. Oh, and by the way, as you answer the questions, also tell us if you have a Cambridge certificate or maybe more than one, right? And tell us a little bit about your experience as a candidate. Let's see. Right, so Heidi is a speaking examiner. Okay, and you have a CELTA, so from A2 to B2. Very good. All right, Maria, I am not very familiar with CEQs. I only have Michigan certificate. Okay. Laura says, I have a B2 certificate and I also have taught B1 students. Okay. Marina says, I have a CPE and I consider Cambridge tests an open door. I do not prepare my students for them, but I talk about them. Very good. Okay. Chris from Rio de Janeiro. Tina from Rio de Janeiro, good afternoon. All right, have a beautiful afternoon too, Kasia. Thank you. Okay, Katya says quite familiar, very important because they prepare you for academic life in general. I'm preparing pupils for pre-A1 starters at the moment. I've taken FC, I imagine FCE and CPE. Okay, Kasia says I don't know much about CEQs. Celia says, I haven't prepared students for quite a while. Okay, so we have a large spectrum of people here watching today. So people who don't know about the exams, and people who are familiar with the exams, and people who actually prepare, and people who are examiners. Okay, so Celia says, I teach business English students in companies. Juliana says, I'm very familiar with former FCE tests, not very familiar with the new names. Okay. Lilian from Araras. Hi, Lilian. Christina says, I don't know much. Right. Lauren, hello from Pará. Hello. And Lilian says, I teach FCE students. Kelly says, I've been using the book Prepare and I've been preparing students for Cambridge certification. All right, guys. Okay. We have more answers. Okay. David says, I believe it's very important and I'm quite familiar. I would like to focus my work to prepare over Cambridge English Qualifications. Okay. Juliana says, I have prepared students for FCE for about 10 years now. Oh, wow. Okay. That is cool. All right. Anything on the horizon for business English? That's a very good question, Celia. Heidi, I think Cambridge exams are motivating and they give something for students to aim on their studies. Cambridge also has a very fair method, follow patterns worldwide. Yes, yes, we're going to talk about that today. Heidi, thank you very much. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your comments. I wanted to know, okay, somebody else said, I believe they're very important. I've made a PAT exam 7 years ago. It was very important. Teresa says, I know what they are. I know they're important for assuring the level of English required. I don't use any specific course, but I believe the course book I use is preparing them anyway. Okay. We always tell students how important it is to get a certification. Thank you, guys. I see that we are thinking pretty much the same thing here. So we agree on pretty much everything that I saw here. So thanks very much for your comments. Here, the aim of this presentation today is to give you an overview of the Cambridge certifications or Cambridge English Qualifications. I could see from your answers that some of you are already quite familiar with them. So I'm going to ask you to just bear with me for a few minutes because my aim here is to present the certifications for those who are not familiar with it as well. And I could see that there are some people here today that are not familiar with the qualifications, and I want to talk to them a little bit about before we continue. Okay? So thank you very much. So let's take a look at that. Let's have an overview. Let's have an overview of the Cambridge English Qualifications. So let's start from the beginning. What is our mission? Cambridge University Press and Assessment, right? What is our mission? So we help people learn English and prove their skills to the world. Again, Cambridge English Press and Assessment, right? So we provide materials for students to study English, to practice English in a communicative way, in a meaningful way, and we also provide the certifications that they need to prove that they can actually communicate in a very effective way to the world, right? So Cambridge English Qualifications have existed for over 110 years now. The first English qualification that created was the Cambridge Proficiency exam, but now we have a whole group, a whole spread of different exams covering different levels of English for different age groups as well, right? Okay, so let's take a look at that in a little bit more detail. what are the Cambridge English exams? So first of all, right, they are international language proficiency exams. Like I said, and they existed to, and they test students' level of English in different levels of English. All right. They follow rigorous exam day protocols established by Cambridge. So this is very important because we want to make sure that the material arrives to the students without being, damaged in any way, that the material is secured in a safe place, so nobody touches the material before the moment of the exam. And also it's about protecting students' data. So all the information that comes about the students and what they produce in the exams is we take it very seriously to make sure that all this information is kept safe and not shared with anybody else, especially nowadays, because we know that there are issues with sharing information, especially online. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen when students take the exams. It is an external and therefore impartial form of assessment. So for schools, it's a way to validate the school's work, right? And the teachers, especially the teachers' work when students for the exam, because once students have that certification, they know that first of all it is accepted worldwide, right, and it is recognized as a real effective and authentic tool of recognition. Yeah, okay, so the competencies in real day-to-day situations, right? So when we talk about the 4 communication skills, we talk about listening, reading, speaking, and writing, right? And as a result, they foster highly communicative teaching and learning. So when we talk about the Cambridge exams, it's important to think about both teacher and learner, because as a teacher, as a language teacher, from the moment you start preparing your learners for the exams, your experience, your teaching practice changes, because you have to focus on preparing your students for the exams, but you also think about effective communication, working on the 4 skills. So it does, preparing your students for the exam, for your learners for the exams, does enhance your teaching experience. And for learners, it's a way to assure that your learners are well prepared for the exams. Now, in terms of why, right? Why would your learner want to have a Cambridge certificate, and why would you want a Cambridge certificate as well, right? Okay, so this is about recognition. It is important to know that the Cambridge English qualifications are administered in over 50,000 schools in more than 100 countries, and recognized by over 25,000 universities, employers, and governments around the world. So we are talking about the possibility of expanding not only in your career, not only academically, but professionally. And maybe your student will say, oh, but I'm not looking for a position, abroad. It's okay. Because we know that a lot of companies in Brazil also take Cambridge certificates as a way for students to prove that they are at a certain level of English, and that's good for them, even to start working for the company, or maybe to be promoted for a different position, and so on. So it is important that once the opportunity presents itself, they are already with a Cambridge certificate, and they are able to apply for that new position or for that promotion. So on this slide, you will see some of the many higher education institutions that accept the Cambridge certificates around the world. So here we have important names of institutions in the United Kingdom, United States of America, in Canada, and Australia. I have also put this QR code on the top of the screen, so you can access the Cambridge Certificates recognition website, so you can see the names of the other institutions that accept the Cambridge certificates. And here we also have names of companies that accept Cambridge certificates to hire new employers, to hire new employees, or to maybe to promote new existing employees. We have names like Nestle, we have Microsoft, we have IBM, we have Bayer, we have Air France, we have the World Bank Group. So there are many, many important institutions around the world that accept Cambridge certificates, and this is something that's very important that your students should know. Here we are talking maybe about older teenagers, people who are looking for a position maybe as a trainee, or they are actually looking for an actual job. They can access the website and find the names of the companies that accepts the Cambridge certificates as well. Okay, now let's talk about the exams themselves. So what you see on the screen here, first of all, on the right, you see this sort of a staircase, and we have a young student climbing it. So there you have the names of the exams and the levels that they cover, right? The levels covered by that particular exam. So from pre-A1 starters, A1 movers, A2 flyers, A2 key for schools, preliminary for schools, B2 first for schools, C1 advanced, and C2 proficiency. All right, so we have the names, we have the levels, but what about this code pre-A1, A1, A2, so on and so forth? So let's take a look at on the left of the screen and take a moment to talk about the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. It is a large name and it does represent a lot. So essentially what you have over there is it looks like a ruler, because it kind of is a ruler that measures the level of knowledge that a student may have in a certain language. So from pre-A1, A1, A2, so this first three levels of the Common European Framework are considered the basic levels. So if your student is at that level, so they are at a basic level of English. Then we have levels B1 and B2 that are considered the independent levels, and we have C1 and C2 that are considered the proficient levels. So the higher the level, the more your student, the higher the student's level of knowledge in that particular language, right? Now, like I said, in the staircase, we have the exams there. So for every level of the Common European Framework, Cambridge has an exam, and sometimes two, in the case of A2, that are two exams, to prove that the student is at that level of English. And we also have the red column that is about general and higher education, because there is this distinction between schools and general and higher education, because when we talk about schools, we're talking about students from, let's say, 7 to maybe 15, 16, 17. So students from primary to high school. And then when we have general and higher education, we have adult students, okay? So what does it mean to have a Cambridge certificate? So when a student studies English to prepare for an exam, we can sure observe confidence to communicate. So they develop this confidence because they know that they are working on the communicative skills in order to communicate effectively. The other thing about the exams is that they provide regular milestones to keep motivation high. So I know that at this point I am at a certain level, and as I progress, I will reach higher and higher and higher levels. That would name the steps I will take in order to develop my skills at a certain language, or in this case, we're talking about English, right? And that also provides enriching experiences and opportunities. So we are talking about the fact that our students feel confident and they know where they are. So they feel more confident to go out in the world and have better experiences, talking to students outside the classroom, going on trips, having other experiences in English that will certainly bring more knowledge of the world to them. But it's not just about that. When we talk about the Cambridge exams, we talk about this idea of continuous assessment, because being assessed at different stages of the learning journey helps the learner to better track their progress. So I am not only learning, I am aware of where I am, and I'm aware of where I am going next, and what is my goal, right? And also, learning another language is an essential factor in developing life skills. So when we talk about life skills, we don't talk about it's not just about the language skills that students develop in the classroom. We talk about other skills that they will use not only in the language classroom, but in other disciplines in school, in their academic life, in their professional life, and sometimes their personal lives as well. And that's why they're called life skills. And what are those skills? So here you have, here on the screen, you have some of them. We have critical thinking, we have creativity, we have collaboration, we have, of course, we have communication, but we also have we talk about social responsibility, we talk about digital literacy. All these skills are important for students to develop, not only in the language classroom, and they will use these skills, like I said, in the school, in other disciplines, and as they progress academically and professionally and personally as well. So let's take a look at what teachers in schools say about the exams, or the Cambridge English Qualifications, right? So this is from teachers who have responded to a survey, and they have given us their impressions and their opinions about the exams. Let's just take a look. So 95% of them agree that preparing for Cambridge Qualifications improves learners' English. 88% agree that Cambridge Qualifications provide a clear curriculum framework to follow with clear milestones. 86% agree that Cambridge Qualifications help to build learners' confidence. 3 out of 4 teachers agree that there are lots of support materials available to teach the exams. 9 out of 10 teachers agree that Cambridge Qualifications have a positive effect on learners' motivation. Oh, sorry. 3 out of 4 agree that Cambridge Qualifications are easy to implement, and 8 out of 10 teachers agree that Cambridge English Qualifications help improve teaching standards. So as you can see from the numbers on the screen, we can see that Cambridge English Qualifications have a positive impact on the learner, on the teacher, on the institution. So essentially, it is what people call a win-win situation. And it does provide the basis, the background that teachers and institutions need in order to better prepare their students over time. Now let's talk about the exams, right? Let's take a look at the exams themselves. So when we talk about exams for young learners, here we are talking about students at age, let's say starting at age 7, 8 maybe years old. And here are the 3 exams that they can take. So there's Pre-A1 starters, A1 movers, and A2 flyers. Now, what do we test, right? So when we talk about these 3 exams, what are we testing, right? What are the skills that we are testing on our students? So we are testing all the 4 skills: reading and writing, listening, and speaking, right? Now for Pre-A1 starters, in order to take the whole exam, or the 3 tests, or the 3 papers as we call them, students will take approximately 45 minutes. When they take the movers, they will take approximately 60 minutes, and when they take flyers, it will take them approximately 75 minutes, right? So when they take the exam, it is important that they are tested not only in the 4 skills, but within the 4 skills. They are also tested in different ways. So for example, if your student is reading a text, are they reading for the general idea? Are they reading for detail? When they're listening, again, listening for idea or detail. When they are speaking, are they explaining something? Are they telling a story? Are they reporting something? So on and so forth, right? So it is important to know that the Cambridge exams do cover all these, let's say, sub-skills within the skill, and students are tested in those sub-skills. But also that they are presented in a way where students don't take it as something that is extremely hard, extremely difficult. So here we have pages of the exam where you see there's a lot of color, there's the use of images, so the images help students tackle the activities, and they are really the exam essentially guides the student through the exam, right? When they take the speaking exam, it is important to know that, as you see in the image, right? Again, there is an examiner in the room and there is a candidate in the room, and it's important to always keep this environment that is friendly and that is light, so students don't feel they don't feel anxious taking the exam. And the examiner also uses images, they use cards, and the candidate interacts with the image, interacts with the card, and interacts with the examiner as well, always in a very friendly environment. And when a student is struggling with a certain activity, the examiner can assist the student with prompts too. Now, talking about exams for teenage and adult learners, let's take a look at A2 Key and for schools, B1 preliminary and B1 preliminary for schools, B2 First and B2 First for schools, C1 Advanced and C2 Proficiency. So here we have the description of all the papers in each of the exams. So you can see that for A2 Key and B1 preliminary, students are tested on their reading and writing and listening and speaking skills. And from B2 First on, there is this other element or this other component in the exam, which is use of English, right? So varying from 120 minutes for A2 Key to 236 minutes to C2 Proficiency, we can see again, there is this added element of as they progress linguistically, they are also tested in another skill, in another sub-skill, which is use of English, right? So again, on the screen, you have a QR code on the corner that will give you access to the Cambridge English Qualifications website, where you can find complete explanations about each of the exams, right? As I mentioned before with the Young Learners exams, what you see on the screen is the description of the reading paper or the reading component of the B1 preliminary exam. And what you also see here is what candidates have to do, so the part of the instructions, but most importantly, what is being tested in that moment. So as I mentioned before, as we do with young learners, we also do it with teenagers and adults as well. We test different sub-skills within that skill. So starting from main message and then showing a little more understanding, detail comprehension, and then going to specific parts of specific, recognizing specific parts of the text or specific aspects of the text, understanding coherence, being able to complete gaps, using phrasal verbs and or fixed phrases. So you can see that within the reading exam or the reading paper, that are sub-skills that are being tested as well. So it's a very thorough examination on the students' reading skills, and the same way of thinking is applied to every other paper for every other exam as well. And in the speaking exam is a bit different from the young learners exam, because now we have two candidates sitting side by side, and interacting with a speaking examiner, which is this woman sitting across from them, and there is another examiner in the back. So we have two candidates and two examiners. So the purpose of this is to test the candidates' interactive communication skills. So students get to interact not only with the examiner, but they also get to interact with each other, and they have to be able to show their real communicative skill being, if their communicative skills being effectively putting to use. Now, let's take a look at the way the results are presented. So let's take a look at the certificates themselves, right? So for pre-1 starters to 8 flyers, so we're talking about the young learners exam. First of all, after students take the exam, they receive this individual performance report. And as they receive that, they get detailed information about each of the skills and their results on those skills. And after that, they get the certificate. Now, it's important to point out that in the case of young learners, right? In the case of these exams, every child receives a certificate. And why is that? Because of one of the main purposes of the young learners exam is to celebrate the learner's success. So that is why they all get a certificate, and they all get to celebrate their accomplishments when they take the exam. Now, for teenagers and adults, so that means from A to Key and A to Key for schools to C2 proficiency, it's similar but different, because they also get what we call a statement of results, and in those statement of results, they will find their scores, so scores per skill, and also their overall scores. And then after that, they receive the actual certificates. So we have their name, they have the grade, name of the exams, and the scores as well. So that is the one that is the most expected and most celebrated by everyone. Now, let's take a look at what happens from the point of view of the teacher, right? So preparing for the Cambridge English Qualifications improves your English or your students' English. How does that happen? Let's take a look. First of all, there's a goal to be reached, and that is essential. So when we talk about a goal, it's like using the image of this road, right? And the places that we have to get in order to get to our final destination, right? So it gives us this road, right? And it makes us think about all the stops that we need to get to in order to get to the place that we want to go. So, and the other thing about the qualifications, like I mentioned before with the statement of results, it's not just about proving that they are a certain level. It also provides a detailed description of how competent your learners are in the 4 skills. And that means to show what you can do when you read, write, listen, and speak in English, right? What you can actually do. Now, for the teacher, it shapes what happens in the classroom, right? Every time your student takes a Cambridge exam, you can tell, you have a thorough picture of where your student is, and you can work with your student to think of an action plan in order to get them to the next stop. Like I said, on the road, to get to the next stop, what do I need to do? What do we need to do? What are the things that we need to work on more, maybe more than others? Maybe do some course correction if necessary. So it's a way, it's a tool for the teachers to actually know where their students are and help them think about the things that they need to do in order to get where they want to be. So in terms of what can be worked on, here you have a few examples. So the language that you're working on, right? So the language that the language content that the teacher covers. So what is it that, as a teacher, what is it that I need to work on? Developmental 4 skills. So maybe my student is very good at listening and very good at reading, but not very good at speaking and writing. So as I identify that, what is it that I need to do? What am I going to work on? And for example, if I know that my student, my learner is having issues with their writing, how can I identify the pain points and the contents or the points that need to be worked on, and what can I do in order to help my student improve their writing skills, right? And we also talk about working on the communicative approach. So because we know that the exam tests the communicative, the learner's communicative skills. So what is it that we need to do as a teacher in order to improve those as well, right? Okay, so now we talked about how beneficial the exams are, right? In terms of career, in terms of language development, in terms of skills development, but there are other things that learners can benefit from. So let's take a look at those things. So first of all, they can help with confidence and autonomy in the use of language, right? We have mentioned that before. It does help boost your learners' confidence because they know that they can communicate and they have a certificate to prove that, right? It is, again, assessed by an external institution, right? So it validates the work that teachers and institutions have been doing, right, with the student in order to get that certificate, right? They can help in the preparation for university entrance exams. So here we are talking maybe about INEM, or we are talking about other institutions where students need to take a language test in order to get in, right? It's also about mobility because they allow learners access to higher education courses in Brazil and abroad. So as I mentioned before, in those slides with the names of the institutions that accept Cambridge English qualifications as proof that your students are at a certain level of English, right? And in the other slide with the names of companies, it also helps them in the case of professional qualification and employability. So maybe they can apply for a position at a new company, or within that company apply for a promotion because they have a Cambridge English certificate, right? And that gives them a sense of accomplishment. It's a sense of it's a personal sense of I've done it, right? I worked hard for it and I did it. So now I have a Cambridge English qualification, right? Okay, now let's talk about the role of the teacher. So if you would like to prepare your learners for the exams, here, let's take a look at some of the things that Cambridge can offer to help you. So here are a few tips. So first of all, if you are not familiar with the exam or the exams, it is a good idea to familiarize yourself with the exam. So if you go to the Cambridge Exam Preparation Journey website, you will find everything that you need to know about the exams, and you will also find resources to help you prepare your learners for them. So let's take a look. So like I said, if you want to familiarize yourself with the exam, you can go to the Key Resources tab of the Exam Preparation Journey website and take a mock test, right? So you take a look at the Resources Center and you get the mocks for the test, and you take a mock yourself. It is important that you know what the test is like because this is what will inform what your class will be like. So if you need to know all the parts of the exam. You need to know how long learners are supposed to take for each of those parts. Maybe the pain points, right? The most complicated parts for you, or the least complicated parts for you. What are the things that you need to work? So not only language knowledge, but also time management skills, test taking strategies. So as you take the mock test yourself, you will have an idea of what the exam is like and what are the things that you need to work on, and you need to work on maybe yourself if you are to take the one to take the exam, or maybe what you're working on with your students for them to take the exam and do it well, right? So once you do that, it's time for your students to take the mock test. So go to the resources center and have your students take the mock test as well. This will give you, like I said, this will give you a thorough picture of where your students are. It will help you identify their struggles. It will help you identify the point where you will need to be working on, and maybe the ones that you don't need to work on as much. And so you can focus on the ones that really need reinforcement. And like I said, use the results to inform your lesson planning. This is what you will have. With this kind of information, you will go to the preparation resources, take a look at the teacher essentials tab or link, right? And find the materials that will help you plan your lessons in order to prepare your students well for the exams, right? As you go through the course, as you go through the year, have students frequently try parts of or the whole papers throughout the course, because they need practice, right? Like I said, the more we practice, the more they will get to know how each part of the exam, what each part of the exam looks like, how to tackle the activities, work on their time management skills. And the more they practice, the more confident they will be on the day of the exam. Not only because they will know what it looks like, but because they have had the actual practice in it. And for the speaking test, if you want to help prepare your students for the speaking test, you can go to the Cambridge English channel on YouTube called Cambridge with English. Here on the screen, you have the QR code for it. So you can take a look at the videos of the speaking. We have videos of all the speaking tests for all the exams, and you can watch those videos with your students. Take a look at the questions, see how the candidates answer the questions, how they interact with each other, what is the role of the examiner, and how long it takes. So again, this kind of input will help them prepare for the speaking test as well. Now, apart from that, if you are looking for more ways to prepare your students, Cambridge has something else to offer you, which is called Test and Train. And we are going to look at that right now. So first of all, the question is, what is Test and Train, right? So it is a on-the-go and intuitive training tool for Cambridge English Qualifications. And it is hosted by Cambridge One, which is our online platform where students can practice for the exam. Now, Test and Train exists in two versions. So the first version is class-based. So we have from A2 Key to C1 Advanced. So we have all the exams available on Cambridge One. And on self-study mode, we have A2 Key, B1 Preliminary, B2 First, B2 First for schools, and C1 Advanced. So how does it work? Let's take a look. So first of all, you will find a component called exam practice. So what does that mean? You have activities in the form of the exam. So activities taken from the exam for students to do online, so students to do on the platform. So as a teacher, you can create classes, add your students to those classes, and then create assignments with these exam style activities. So you as a teacher will guide them through this process, because as you had them take the mock test before, you know the points you need to work on, and you can create assignments with those activities for students to work on those points that they need reinforcement on. And you as a teacher will be able to select the activities you want them to do, analyze the results, and then work on course correction whenever necessary. So in terms of listening, here you can select the exam parts you want your learners to practice. And the platform is quite user-friendly. And by the way, it can be students can access Cambridge One on their mobile phones as well. So that means literally they can access it from anywhere, right? So and And in terms of the way it looks on the screen, it is quite clean and clear and user-friendly, because we believe that students should focus on the content and not on the instructions, right? And then in terms of listening, they can access the recordings on top of the screen, and they can control when to pause, rewind, or play each listening text. Now, for reading and use of English, we have, like we said, exam-style activities, and learners can actually slide the text in and out of the screen, so they can. So, like I said, it's easy to operate, and they can actually also scroll through a text at a speed they are comfortable with. So again, providing actual exam practice, but in a very friendly, comfortable environment. Test and Train also offers exam hints. So you will find everywhere on Test and Train this little light bulb icon. And every time you see the little light bulb, you should click on it, because you will see a tip. You will see something that and the tips or the hints can be about language, can be about the exam itself, it can be about the question itself, it can be about test taking strategies. So every time you see that, those light bulbs carry very, very useful information when preparing for the exam. And the other thing about Test and Train, the other advantage of Test and Train, is that it provides instant feedback. So from the moment the learner completes a task, they will click on check, and they will know what they did right and what they didn't. And if they click on the answer they gave, they will immediately see the explanation of why their answer was right, or why the answer was correct, or why their answer was incorrect. So it's instant feedback. So students don't have to necessarily wait for the teacher to get the explanation. They can see it on the screen, and they can actually try again in order to get a better result. So that not only makes the use of Test and Train more agile, but also it's this issue of not having to wait for the teacher. So it also enhances learner autonomy. It gives students control of their learning process. Right now, in terms of writing, they can explore. They can take a look at all the questions or all the tasks from the exam, and they can explore tips and advice on each part of the paper. So here, like I said, you have the light bulb icon, so they can click on that and see tips. And they will also see, for every question or for every task, they will see sample answers and examiner comments to help them improve their writing skills. So they can see what the examiner considered good, what the examiner considered that needed improvement in that sample answer, then can use that to guide them as they prepare for the writing task too, for the writing exam too, right? And for speaking, it's similar to the writing paper. So they can watch videos with candidates taking the speaking test, and they can see tips and examiner comments on the performance of each candidate, and they can also see the materials used, so the visual prompts. Sometimes there is a little text that they have to read, and so they can see all that they actually need in order to prepare the speaking test. Now, in terms of the exam practice, so this exam practice module of Test and Train, you as a teacher can assign those activities as many times as you see necessary, right? So as many times needed. So you can create your assignments, take a look at where your students are at that moment, work on the strategies that you need to work on, and then go back to those same activities, have them try the activities again, and verify if there has been some improvement or not, right? So in terms of visualization, this is what happens. You and your students can see the results in the following way. You can see the number of attempts, you can see the first score, and you can see the best score. And depending on your student's score, they get either a bronze medal or a gold medal. If students improve little by little, like I said, they can try as many times as you assign those activities to them. If they get better results, the bronze medal will become a gold medal, and that is a visual record of the student's improvement. So you increase motivation by asking your students to try again and showing them that they can go from bronze to gold. If you decide to use the class-based form of test and train, you will also have, or your learners will have, access to the online practice test. And what is that? It's a time test that replicates the computer-based test for reading and use of English and listening. So your students will have the possibility to take the exam as it is on the real day. But it can only be done once, right? So this is, we usually recommend that you activate it on a date that is close to the actual exam day, because this is the real thing, and students are going to replicate the exam environment, and you can actually replicate exam conditions. So they can sit in a certain way, following your instructions, and then take the time test, right? As they get their results from the online practice test, your students will also have what we call the estimated CFR level report, and this is a great tool because it will give students a real picture of where they are the moment they take the exam, right? Or the moment they take the online practice test. So it gives you results from the reading, the listening, and the writing component, right? And as a teacher, you can not only see this general results that you see on top of the screen, you can also see the results per skill, and you can review their answers, which means you can click on the correct icon and you can see what your students have answered in the questions in the test, right? Just one thing, you see that you see that on screen that you have the results for reading, listening, writing, and use of English when it's the case. And the speaking test is to be done face-to-face. And where can you find the materials to do that? So if you decide to use the class-based format of test and train, you have a set of activities, and you will see that on the bottom of the screen, you will see the teacher's resources that includes one set of materials, and the materials for the speaking exams are there, right? And your learners will also have resources, and you will have the online practice test and the CFR level report. If you decide to use the self-study mode, you don't have the online practice test and you don't have access to the teacher's resources, but you have more activities to be done online. So it's either or. You should think about which format is more suitable for you. Now let's talk about availability of test and train. So in case of your learners, class-based and self-study, please forgive me for the typo on top of the screen. Class-based and self-study, students should purchase their access code and their access codes, and they are available at Disal, right? Or if you decide to adopt one of the following titles, one of the titles below, the access code for test and train will be included in the material as well. So test and train is available for students who adopt think, prepare, own it, complete, compact, and open world. Now for you, right? So if you're interested in taking a look up at test and train and how it works, please take a look at these steps. So first of all, go to www.cambridge1.org. Like I said, that is the platform, our platform, where we host all of our digital materials, and test and train is being hosted at Cambridge One. So click on the sign up and create your independent teacher account. If you are a private teacher, if you are a school teacher, your school should provide you with the school key or school code, and you should join the school in order to access the material. Once you do that, you will see something like this, which is your teacher's account. So you should go to My Library, which is the second tab, and use the search bar to find Test and Train. There's Test and Train on the bottom of the screen. Once you click on Test and Train, you will see all the different levels, right? And when you find all the different levels, you will select the demo version. So at the moment we have this one on screen is preliminary for schools demo, but it gives you a good idea of what Test and Train looks like and how it works, right? So here on the screen, you have the exam practice, the demo for exam practice and demo for the practice tests, right? Here is a screenshot of what Test and Train looks like. So take a look at the demo and see how the tools work, right? How easy it is to operate and how you can, and think about how you can use it with your students. And if you have any queries, please email atendimento.br@cambridge.org. Right? So that's it for me. I spoke a lot, but now I don't know if we have time for questions. I think we have two minutes for questions. So let's take a look. Since American thinking open work. Okay, good. Can you show the email again? Yes, I can. atendimento.br@cambridge.org. Thank you. Thank you, Celia. Thanks, everyone. Oh, thank you. That is so nice. Okay. All right. Okay. Guys, there is a survey on the screen. So if you could take a moment and answer the question: are you a private teacher or a school teacher? This is just for us, for our analysis for later. But I'm looking at the comments here. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the thank yous. Okay. Teacher's version has the same tools as the student's version. No. Who asked this question? Daniele Costa, I guess. Yeah. Okay. No, they are different. Daniele, please, like I said, go to Cambridge One, create your account, and take a look at the resources, and you will see that they are different. Right? Okay. How do we research from Test and Train on the Play Store? It's not available on the Play Store. Test and Train has been hosted by Cambridge One, and Cambridge One is a website. Okay, I think Sergio is already. All right. Okay. So guys, we don't have any more time for questions or for comments. I just want to thank you for being here today. Thank you for staying with us. And and if you have any questions or if you have any comments, please, again, like I said, email atendimento.br@cambridge.org or get in contact with Disal and they will forward your queries to us. So again, thanks a lot and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.